Hey everyone, welcome back to Reading with Tatiana. Today I'm reviewing The Whispers by Ashley Audrain, and I had very conflicted rating of this book because last year her debut novel The Push, I gave that a very easy 5 out of 5. So I was really anticipating to read her second book novel, The Whispers, but ultimately I gave this a 3 out of 5. My Booktuber Shoutout today goes out to Kay and Other Letters. I came across her channel when I was looking at newbie booktube tags. She recently started her channel. She has quite a few videos up, so link her channel down below if you want to show her some support. And as always, if you're watching this video, I always will appreciate if you hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and if you have read The Whispers by Ashley Audrain or any of her other book, or any of her other singular book, The Push, please comment down below what you think of her work. This book was published just this year in 2023. It was highly anticipated by me and my book club because The Push was our book club book last year and we all really enjoyed it. The genre is in this thriller, and I would specifically put it under domestic thriller. A bit about the author Ashley Audrain. She is also a fellow Canadian. As I mentioned before, this is her second book. Her debut novel came out last year. Prior to becoming an author, she actually was a publicity director of Penguin Canada, which is a publishing house. I think if you read any books and check the publishers, there's a good chance that Penguin is one of them. And the reason that she became a writer is I believe there was like some health issues in her family, so then she had to take some time off from work. So when she was staying home and helping the family with the health issues, she turned into writing. Let's get into the nitty gritty of this domestic thriller. So it's set in Harlow Street, and basically on this street, it's kind of like a gentrified neighborhood. It used to be full of Portuguese immigrants, but now it's full of like middle to upper middle class, primarily white families. There are three main couple, or I guess four main couples to share. So the first one is Whitney and Jacob. Whitney is like a career-driven woman. Her and Jacob are kind of this perfect relationship. They have young twins, so two kids, and then also a third child, Xavier, who's 10 years old. There's also Mara and Albert, who are their neighbors. And Mara and Albert are actually immigrants from Portugal way back when. So they're this elderly couple that kind of lives there, and all these young, hip couples that just moved in recently kind of ignore them and just kind of leave them be, and kind of like betting when this older couple will leave so other couple can come and buy his house and like gentrify his neighborhood even more. And because Mara and Albert are kind of like elderly, they were kind of like no one really engages with them, but they have eyes on like everything in the neighborhood. There's also Rebecca and Ben. They have no kids. Rebecca is a doctor at the local hospital, and they do want kids, and they've tried many times, but just seem to be struggling with being able to have a successful pregnancy. And there's also Blair and Aiden. They have kids, and there's this kind of like love-hate relationship that they have. Blair kind of mentions that the relationship has gone stale, and she kind of questions, probably based off her trauma from her parents' marriage, that she always kind of suspects that Aiden, has kind of one foot in the door, out the door, being kind of like flirty with other women and that kind of stuff. So these are all the characters, and the premise of this book is basically we start at a backyard party at Whitney and Jacob's, and at this party, Whitney goes upstairs to try to find her son Xavier, and he's doing something he shouldn't be doing. So then Whitney, assuming that she's in the house and upstairs, she kind of loses it at Xavier, and basically she says something that's really disrespectful, really rude, really just something you would not speak to a child ever, or even other human being, as a sign of like basic human decency. But the window's actually open, so everyone in the party heard Whitney, and Whitney's just so embarrassed because she's kind of has this like perfect wife, perfect woman kind of mentality. So that's where like the story starts. And then shortly after, it kind of jumps around back and forth, and also the story is told in multiple viewpoints of all these characters I just mentioned. Shortly after, Xavier one night falls out of his bedroom onto the backyard, and he is put into a coma. And people are trying to figure out, why is he in a coma? Did Whitney, his mom, do something? Did he just maybe jump out the window or fell out the window because he's really bullied in school? He's only 10 years old, so people are like, did he commit suicide? And basically, because of Xavier's accident, he's in this coma, that this neighborhood starts to unravel, and then everyone isn't who they seem, and there's just lots of layers, lots of secrets that have been like just like I guess like marinating through time. So it's kind of like a juicy drama of a neighborhood. That's what I was kind of interested in, but I just couldn't really get into it. Common themes in this book, I think one in this book that Ashley Audrain does really well in the Whispers that she carries over from the Push is she talks about the idea of being a mother and how there are lots of women who naturally want to become a mother and very maternalistic, and it's kind of in their DNA. But there's lots of women who are not. So Ashley talks a very vulnerable and very raw experience of all these women and what motherhood means to them. And I did enjoy that aspect of the book, and I feel that you know there's definitely the audience for this type of book that Ashley is speaking to. Other common theme I noticed is the idea of marriage, the idea of communication, the idea of trust in the marriage. A lot of these couples in these three couples or four couples, sorry, in this book, there's a lot of like not being honest to their partner and always this illusion of like alluding to back when they first started dating before they got married, things were always like so perfect, but now 5, 10, 15, 40, 60 years later there's this lack of communication and breakdown, and it's just interesting that all these couples kind of experience it. That's a common theme as well. And the other one is the idea of having kids or not having kids, and how if you're married and you choose to have kids but can't have kids, how does that change your marriage? Does it make you stronger? Does it make you break apart? And I think with if you're someone that has struggled with that in your marriage, this book might be something that you can really relate to about these characters' struggle as well. Let's get into why I didn't like this book, and this is why it was my conflicted 3 out of 5 rating. Is actually I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. So I wanted to give this a good rating because I did read this book pretty quickly. Ashley does a lot of short chapters, so it's really easy to just kind of keep going. And because there is multiple characters, point of view, you'll like read like a chapter be 3 pages, 4 pages, and it kind of leaves you like hanging to be like what's gonna happen next, and this new character's perspective of the same situation. And so I really enjoy the writing style. I don't deny that this is a well written book in terms of entertaining for me to read. But what fell flat for me was the characters. Like this is a pattern I'm having recently. I struggle with this with normal people, with Sally Rooney too, where I enjoyed that premise of that book, but I just didn't enjoy the characters. And like there are times where I don't enjoy the characters, but I still find ways to relate to them or understand their motivation. But in this book, The Whispers, all these characters were just awful people, and they just continue to make bad choices or choose to not communicate, and I find that really frustrating. It's not really for me. I don't think Ashley Audrain or Sally Rooney is as bad as like Colin Hoover for me, but like Colin Hoover is like the pedestal of like bad people who make or people who choose to make bad choices and choose not to communicate, and it's just really frustrating. However, as a reader, I understand that's how you create plot and conflict and carry through the story, but it just really took me away from it. I wasn't reading for anyone. I also felt like with the twist of the reveal, because it was a thriller, I kind of saw it coming. And then even when they revealed it, I was like, like I don't care because all these people suck. So yeah, that's the things I didn't like and liked about this book. On Goodreads, this book on average of 3.91 out of 5, which I think is pretty accurate. Bad reviews, which I totally agree with, is I just think I'm not the target audience. I don't know if I'll read a other Ashley Audrain book again unless my personal life circumstances change and I become a mother or something like that. I think she's definitely writing towards a target audience, and I'm not it. I'm not into this dark family drama. I'm not into these marriages with this breakdown of communication, and like I can see lots of women liking this book, but it's just not a book for me, and that's just how it goes. I'm not supposed to like every book. Good reviews where people love the different viewpoints, that it had unique and interesting characters, and people love the neighborhood drama, how everything's so perfect on the surface, but if you look closer and like take time to observe, there's lots of secrets right everywhere. And people also, like I said, why this book isn't for me. I think a lot of people who had good reviews on this book was they felt it was a masterpiece about motherhood, all the good aspects, all the bad aspects people don't talk about, and they really could relate to all the different characters' struggles. I think you should read this book if you love a good thriller, especially a domestic thriller, and also if you like reading about like a gossipy kind of like good tea kind of book about a neighborhood. Now I'll share how this book made me feel because when people recommend me a book, I like to ask them how it made them feel. Because if you ask me a week, a month, 5 years from now, I probably won't remember exactly what this book is about, but I always remember how it made me feel. So unfortunately, this book it just made me feel icky. Like at the end, I was like, ugh, like these people, these characters, I'm not reading for them. I just didn't quite enjoy it. I don't know. Maybe I should give this book a lower rating, but it was well written. I was entertained, but I don't know. I don't know if would recommend this book unless like you like this genre specifically. To be honest. Thank you for watching until the end of my book review for The Whispers by Ashley Audrain. If you read this book, I'd love to hear what you thought down below, especially if you enjoy this book, because I always like to see and read other people's perspective because we're all different and we all enjoy different things at different times of our lives. Like maybe in 10 years I'll love this book. Like who knows. Anyways, thanks for watching until the end. If you made it this far, please hit the subscribe button and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.